All right, and we're back. Part 2 of our 4 pillars of WWE. We got a little sidetracked with NXT, so it ran a lot longer than we anticipated. But
but Cato now fully agrees with me.
Yes, that's
in every single way about NXT and pretty much everything else.
All right,
ever.
So jumping into it, Who is your
third pillar?
Tag team count as one, so that could be your.
I don't know if they're.
I could think of one, but
the Usos would be the only one. I think
Usos
for the next 10 years.
The Usos can wrestle.
Maybe not for the 10 years. I don't know if there's a tag team then that I would go with then.
The only tag team I think that I could possibly choose would be two actually, either Imperium or I would choose the Street Profits. Those guys are still
the young. Street Profits could be, yes. I'll give you the Street Profits, but I actually think
I know. Go ahead, say it.
What?
He's gonna go single.
Yeah, I think that I would, and I'm not gonna list him as a pillar. However, I think that you're more likely to see Montez Ford as a solo than you are. I don't think the Street Profits stay a tag team like the Usos did, or like the New Day did.
You know what I could see happening? For one, Montez Ford put on about maybe 20, 25 pounds of muscle. That dude is like jacked now. Insanely jacked. But I could see something where these guys, it's going to be kind of hard to separate them. I hate watching the yearly recap shows, right?
Yeah.
But these two were the hosts on the yearly recap for WWE this year.
Mm-hmm.
These guys do so much stuff outside of just wrestling.
Yep.
That I feel like it would be kind of hard. It would kind of be pointless to break them up, right?
I mean, at least anytime soon. I mean, they're still not even. I mean, you got to figure maybe they could be a tag team for the next.
They haven't even had their heel run yet.
They haven't had a heel run yet. They haven't really even.
That's right.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I could see them potentially.
Remember, that's 5 to 10.
5 for sure.
Yeah,
5 for sure. Yeah, I mean, I still don't know if I'd put them in as a pillar. I
mean, that's the only team.
But that's the only team that might really be there.
Think of
that
I could see. You know what? These guys, they started off well. And they still have a lot left to do.
Yeah.
We spoke about a New Day in NXT right now. Usos is on day 505, whatever.
Right.
You got to think when Usos drop those tag team titles, they're going on a break. I think when they drop the tag team titles, it's going to be the start of the bloodline kind of crumbling and Roman starting to lose some of his titles. Mm-hmm. And I believe when Roman loses, he's going on vacation. The Usos will be on vacation. And then now it'll be solo time to really shine.
Yeah.
And then eventually the Usos will come back and, kind of reform what's going on.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like there's an avenue that's really haven't been tapped into yet. The tag team wrestling has been getting better. For a while, it's been trash. For a while, it's been New Day, the Usos, Viking Raiders come in and go. I don't know. And that's really it. No real consistent tag teams.
No, there really isn't. And I don't know that I would put money on the Street Profits being a pillar. I'm going to say 5 to 10 years.
Oh, man. You know what's scary? I have another woman.
You have another woman?
I have another woman.
Who?
I have Rhea Ripley.
Oh.
She's what? She's about 25, maybe 26.
She's way younger than I thought she was.
Yeah.
Way younger.
And I say that because you know what? Rhea Ripley right now is doing so great in Judgment Day as that female leader.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Orchestrating things that
96, she's 26.
She's kind of put her solo career on hold a bit. When we get to the Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley feud, like kind of how Charlotte and Sasha Banks feud for years. Hell, Charlotte and Rhea feuded for years. We're going to eventually get to Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair feuding for about 3-4 years. On and off, long-term storytelling. When we hit that stride, Rhea Ripley is going to be, on a whole different level. She's on a whole different level now of where she first started. You know,
bro. I'm yawning a lot.
That New Year bug got you. That's what happens when you're old and you stay up past.
I've been trying to ignore it and like not acknowledge it that it's happening. But
acknowledge me.
But we've been sleepiness. Acknowledge me. I'm looking at this timer over here, and I'm like, okay, we've been talking for 5 minutes, and I've yawned at least 6 times.
In 5 minutes,
I gotta acknowledge it. I gotta acknowledge it's happening.
They
right?
know.
They know. They can see it. And if I'm bored with this, they're gonna be bored with this, right? Like I have to acknowledge it. I'm very sleepy. I'm 34 years old, and I'm not supposed to be up till 1:32 in the morning. It's not supposed to happen anymore.
I was up to 3:40 last night.
Yeah, like why?
I think
by choice.
Well, kind of. So, okay, wrestling break. So fast forward for about 2 minutes if you want. So, what happens
this is where the good
on
stuff
the weekends,
happens.
right? My son, on the weekends he gets to sleep in the room because he gets to stay up late.
Okay.
So he's up, he's watching his tablet, and I'm just kind of laying there looking at the ceiling. And every now and then, have you ever heard of this guy called Mr. Beast? He does these.
Oh yeah, Mr. Beast.
Yeah, so you start watching the Mr. Beast episode. He's like, Dad, look at this. I'm like, oh, it's Mr. Beast. I know that guy. He's like, oh, me too. And then now we bonding.
Yo, watching
Now we're watching Mr. Beast. I'm watching
3:40 in the morning.
I'm watching someone stand in a circle. They can win 500,000. I'm watching them just stand in a circle. I'm like, oh, who's going on?
That's 100 days in the circle for $500,000.
Was it?
There was one.
I feel it was two different ones.
There was one that was 100 days in the circle.
And then
for $500,000.
Okay, this one it was stay in the circle, you win 500,000, but it didn't say 100 days. No one lasts 100 days because
I could last a long time for $500,000.
But it was rules. You couldn't sit at one point. You had to stand on one foot or something like that. It was just weird little things, and then they would throw, tasks in the middle. Like, hey, if you complete this task, you can win $10,000, $5,000, but it will require you to risk possibly falling out of the circle. But there's one guy, he won $25K in the circle. They're like, you know what? I'm just going to leave. He left, and then they gave him another 5 for it lasting so long. That's
true. That's true. Like, I don't need the $500,000. I walk around like 30. Like, I'm done.
One guy won a Tesla. So he had to swing on the swing. Like, if you can touch the Tesla, then you can keep it. So he swung the swing, jumped, tested, of course, touched it, and then, of course, he fell out. But you go home with a Tesla. It's like $80,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to go sell this Tesla.
You know what's funny? There was an interview with Mr. Beast where he talked about, like, people, like, you always see comments on his videos where it's like, oh, Mr. Beast really fucked this guy because now he has to pay taxes on this car. Or he gave him a jet, but he has to pay taxes on it, right?
Come on, are you kidding me?
Beast was like, those are people who don't know how money works, right? Like, they just don't really know, like, okay, even if he can't afford to pay the taxes on it now, right? Like, which he can't, right? Like, okay, I gave him a jet, and maybe he has to pay tax on it, but like, you just sell the jet. Just sell the jet. And then you, right?
I gave this guy a brand new car.
Yeah.
And he's worried about paying the $2,000 in taxes that it costs to pay for the car.
Yeah.
Hey, guy, sell your little beater for $2,000.
Right. And pay the taxes.
Pay your taxes, and then you have a new car.
Yeah. Like, people who say just don't know how money works. They just sell the thing. He even said, sometimes I'll just buy it back from them. Like, I'll give it to them, and then they'll be like, why don't they want it? I'll just buy it back from them.
That's hassle.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, I'll just give them the money, right?
God.
Anyway.
Shout out to Mr. Beast. But,
so that's why you were...
The next pillar, I think, I don't know if I'm going to pick Rhea Ripley, but I can see Rhea Ripley as a pillar. I don't know if I want to pick her, though. She's
up there as a discussion. You know, and I hesitate to say it because I feel like I without looking at, like, age and all that stuff, like, I feel like you have to have in the conversation, like, you've got to have, like, Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn in that conversation, right? And I think people just say, like, well, they're not really, like, they're not new, they're not yet, like,
no, but Kevin,
kind of have to be in there, right?
Kevin is,
he's gonna be there for the next 10 years.
He's a beast, dude.
Yeah,
I remember watching it was a Monday Night Raw episode where they finally, start giving the mic back, and he just couldn't beat Kevin Owens.
Yep.
And he goes out there and he's challenging Drew McIntyre, and the promo these two cut before the matchup, I'm like, man.
Is this the one where McIntyre talked about... Did Owens call him the Chosen One?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, I've been the Chosen One 15 years ago, and then I got fired, and Dude, that promo, I think I sent that to you. Like, dude, you have to watch this promo. Like,
that was amazing.
Yeah, dude.
Like, listening to the promo and then the match start, that match felt like the main event for a championship. And it wasn't.
Yep.
It was like maybe 2 or 3 matches before the main event, and it ended in disqualification because of Usos.
Dude, you know what my favorite line of that promo was from McIntyre? Because Owens just set him up perfect. Like, it's a perfect example of a guy who's great on the mic, setting a dude up to have a good promo.
But you also gotta catch it. You gotta catch it,
right? He has to be be willing to pick up on, right? It's not a knock on McIntyre.
He caught
Drew's
it.
he caught it.
He did it.
But when he said, my favorite line of that shit was that he's like, I know exactly who I am. I didn't call WWE, they called me. And like that line is like, that's a line like, I don't know, it's like subtle almost, but it's the idea is like, dude, like then I got fired, right? I was the chosen one 15 years ago, then I got fired, and then they called me. I didn't give a shit, right? I didn't call them. I didn't call them looking for a job. They called me, right? And I don't know why that struck me as like, that's such a great line, that promo, man.
Because you know what? You could tell it was real. So if it wasn't real, it felt absolutely real. And I feel like they did call him. Because Drew McIntyre came back. He transformed himself. That skinny Drew McIntyre that Vince wanted to make the new Triple H. And that was the issue.
Drew is comically big now.
Yeah, he looked...
Like, my man
is... Like, he legitimately should be a superhero.
Yeah.
In a movie. Like, if I'm Drew McIntyre, I'm going to go be like... There's got to be like a Scottish like superhero
Captain Scotland
somewhere. Like, make it happen.
I think that Owens, like...
I could see Owens for the next 5 years for sure.
5 easy. And honestly, even at 10, like, we're not talking about guys who have to be world champions for the next 10 years.
They just have to carry.
They have to carry things, right? Yeah. And I just see Owens, he's got a good WWE style.
Yeah.
Who do you got? Like,
I got it.
Who?
It's Seth Rollins.
Yeah, Seth's another one. Yeah.
People don't realize this, but Seth Rollins lost the most matches in the year of 2022 of anyone. Seth Rollins managed to gain heat every step of the way. When you can lose and still make the fans want to see you,
still
cheer
be relevant
or boo.
Yep.
And then if he wins this championship tomorrow, you wouldn't even bat an eye.
Nope.
You don't even realize the fact he lost so many
matches.
Honestly, that's over.
I feel like that's the that's the definition of over. That's the definition of being a pillar, right? There are some guys who will always be believable contenders. Randy Orton. Yeah. Right? Randy Orton is one, right? I'm not saying he's a pillar for the next 10 years, right?
Absolutely.
But what I'm saying is he's a guy, he's a guy, if they just decided who should beat Roman Reigns, let's still let Randy Orton do it.
And people are like, okay, cool.
And people would accept that, right? Like, they're not like that, right? But it would take you a month to build Orton as an actual credible threat, right?
Take too long.
It wouldn't take, it wouldn't take that long, right?
Like, not that long.
He doesn't need...
That's very short.
He doesn't need that. Like, and Rollins is in that same boat. It doesn't matter where he goes. He can go to the US scene. He can go to the IC scene. He can be away for 6 months.
Yep.
When he comes back, if you want to put him in the world title picture, you put him in the world title picture, and he's there. So Rollins has to be considered.
I think that's going to be my next pillar.
Yeah, it's probably Rollins even over Owens.
I like him,
even though I like Owens more. Like, I prefer Owens.
I like the work that Owens is doing right now more, but there have been patches in Owens in, let's say, the last year where it's kind of been a roller coaster. Yeah, and I feel like Owens just has a sense of freedom where they let the leash off of something, and Owens can just be Owens. Yeah, and when he's that, he is probably one of your top 5 people in the company. Yeah. Period. I don't care.
I feel the same, honestly, about like I want to put Sami Zayn into that same category, but there's something missing on it where I just don't see Sami being a world champion. Maybe a short transitional kind of thing. And it's weird, actually, because he's one of the best in the ring. He's one of the best on the mics. He might be the best on the mic. Right?
What is it about Sami where I can't see it either?
It's his body.
But what is it?
It's his body. It's his look.
Wait, come on.
It's his look. It's his look.
Oh, man.
Yes, it is. He's soft.
His body's soft?
SAWFT, soft. He's soft.
His body's soft.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that like in a bad way. I mean
Like
that
it's like,
yeah, there's no muscle definition. There's no.
always don't have no muscle definition. I guess maybe he's more like a solid.
He's a solid. He's a bowling ball,
Yeah,
right? He's got something else. I think that's what it is. I think it's Zayn. It's Sammy's body, right?
Sammy's leaned out a little bit, man. He lost a little bit of the gut.
I'm not even saying like that. I just think it's that. It's because like when you look at him, I see an Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I agree with you.
Like, stand him next to Drew McIntyre. Stand him next to Seth Rollins. Someone his own size. Rollins, right? They're basically the same height, right? Stand him next to Rollins and tell me, okay, whose body, from a pro wrestling standpoint, looks like a world champion's and whose doesn't. I think it's his body, right?
You know what? That's the one thing I kind of like about WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't, as much as I like seeing, like, the average person, the average looking person that can work their ass off,
right,
get a chance to win a championship,
right.
It was professional wrestling. Like,
They're supposed to look like gladiators.
Yeah, I want to see the gladiator looking.
They're supposed to look like gladiators.
Like,
it's my problem with AEW. That's why I don't like AEW.
Like, even that I don't know what to call him now, Daniel Bryan, right? Mm-hmm. When he won the world title, for whatever reason, that little patch that he wanted, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. I don't know why, but it worked. And they didn't leave it on too long to the point it's like, yeah, okay, Dan, you're not beating everybody. Even right. Sean's not a big guy. And at one point, it was like, okay, look, Sean, you're not going to keep slaying the Giants.
No, but HBK was shredded. Like, people, I don't think, people forget a little bit. Like no, 1997 HBK was shredded.
No, he was shredded. But 97, I mean, landed the Giants once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big Show got there in 98. Big Show.
Yeah.
You're talking Taker.
Sid Vicious. It's like Sid was there.
Diesel. You're talking about, man, those two twins. Hawaiian Crush. Adam Bomb. Like, those are some big guys.
Yeah.
But Razor Ramon wasn't a small guy.
No.
But if Sean just somehow fit in. Like, it didn't look like, let's go 6 foot guy. Like, nah, he played the same.
And
body
Sami
played the part.
Yeah, it's the body. It's the look. I think that's what it is for Sami. And honestly, I don't want to see him bulk up. I like Sami, right? Like, Sami would look weird.
Can Sami bulk up?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he has the ability to.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think.
I'm not. I mean, it sounds. It's ridiculous for like me to sit here and like criticize a pro wrestler's body, right? It's Sami's not taking fitness advice from me, right? Like, Sami's not taking. But it's still what you want to see. You're the fan. It's just a matter of like I think Sami would look silly bulked up and shredded, right? I like.
We are destroying Sami.
No, I love Sami. No, honestly, like Sami's gonna watch this. He's gonna cry. No, he's gonna get mad. He's gonna start taking steroids. He's gonna call up Liver King.
No, look, he's
gonna call up Liver King and get some supplements.
You know the problem? He's gonna take steroids and he's not gonna work out and just
he's gonna get fat. No, I actually like. I don't necessarily need. Like, I don't need my pro wrestlers to all be Land of the Giants huge, right? Yeah. But that's what I think, for me at least, that's when I look at Sami Zayn. That's what I think holds it back on that. But I don't think it's a forever. Like, Christian had that same kind of normal body look.
Yeah, but Christian at one point began to kind of not really rip up, but I could fill out a little more.
Christian had a look, but again, same thing. Christian won the World Heavyweight Championship once for like a day, 2 days.
And it was the perfect time.
And it was the time. And I think Sami could win it in a similar scenario like that. Yeah, this guy's next up on my list. But
you know the only problem is? I don't think that he wants to wrestle for the next 5-10 years. I think he wants to kind of...
Sami or...
this guy.
Well, let's yeah.
Okay. No, Sami's not going to make the list. Sami's not going to be a
problem. No, Sami's not going to make the list. Sami's not going to make the list, but I do say I don't necessarily need... I don't want all my wrestlers to be...
gladiators.
But, like, the champion... Like, I could see Sami winning that world title in a similar way that Christian won it. And holding it for a similar... Right? You're being a shorter transitional champ. But it would have to be perfect. It'd have to be right. I don't know that I could build a story for Sami to win the world title.
If you're gonna put the title on Sami, right? It's gonna have to be Kevin Owens taking the title off of Roman, or somehow Kevin Owens having the world title, because the feud with Sami, like I talked about this with Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens has probably had one of the best feuds. No, you can kill me. I don't care. One of the best feuds since like The Rock and Stone Cold.
Oh, I agree.
When you talk about long term, they've been feuding
absolutely.
since NXT. Since the powerbomb on the apron in NXT and Kevin Owens running to the main roster, they have been feuding since then.
Yep.
We'll fight, we'll be friends, we'll fight, we'll be friends. And I ultimately think that Sami friendship for Kevin Owens is going to kind of be the first crack of the bloodline. I think that the bloodline is going to start to pick on Kevin too much. And Sami's going to say, all right, okay, leave him alone. Leave him alone. And then they're going to be like, Sami, who you with? And then Sami's going to end up choosing KO. And I think those two will be the perfect people to take the titles off the Usos.
I can see it working that way.
But to your point, I think the perfect person would be Kevin Owens. I could see Kevin Owens as a real world champion, and I could see him and Sami feuding and Sami getting over.
Yeah,
and
that could work. If you see, Owens somehow ends up with the belt. Sami feuds with Owens, takes it off Owens.
Yeah,
that's how I could see him winning a world title. I don't see Sami beating a guy like Drew McIntyre. Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Or Walter.
But again, you never know, because I'll say, and it's not a great comparison because we're talking about it from a body standpoint, but I remember when Balor wrestled Brock Lesnar.
But it was a perfect match.
But it was a perfect match, and there were moments where I was like, he's gonna fucking beat him.
Yeah, but it ended like it was supposed to.
Right?
But you know what that did? That ushered Seth Rollins, like that match. Like, this is what I love when storytelling works right. So that match with Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor, right? Finn Balor decided to use speed, his agility, everything he could, his strikes to, wear down Brock, try to get the pin. Didn't work. But the next match, Seth Rollins used that same style and said, "Oh, this is the chink in the armor for Brock, and this is how I can beat Brock."
Yep.
And if you didn't catch on to that story, it was like you missed it.
Yep, you missed it.
And you just watched, you missed it.
That Lesnar Balor match, before we move on to this next guy, that Lesnar Balor match to me was a perfect example of big versus small and how it could work.
How it should work.
There was, I was on the edge of my seat, and as an adult, like, there aren't a whole lot of pro wrestling matches that get me on the edge of my seat anymore.
You don't really know who's going to win.
Right, when you kind of, because you know it's a work, right? And you kind of have an idea of the story or whatever, but that match had me on the edge of my seat. I really thought Balor might pull it off, even though I knew there's no way he beats him. There's no way, right? They made me believe it, and it ended the way it should, where it was like, okay, Balor hit like 2 or 3 of his finishers or whatever, but only took one F5 to beat him. Just one mistake. Yeah. And I just thought it was a perfect match. It's actually, to this day, it was only like a 6 or 7 minute match. It wasn't long.
Like 7, yeah.
And to this day, it's actually still one of my favorite matches of all time, which is really weird thing to say. It's probably in my top 10 of all time.
You wanna know why? When you have two people that know how to work a match, like we talked about this.
I love seeing Brock sell.
We talked about this before when we talked about Roman Reigns and Brock fighting so many times. And I was like, I think Brock and Roman SummerSlam match was the match of the year. He was like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, because when I look at it and I'm like, okay, the bloodline always has a trick up their sleeve. Right? And this is going to be the last time. Right now, Brock is probably the only person who can beat Roman Reigns.
Yeah. And
all of the bloodline tricks failed. And you're like, oh, snap. It's ready to happen.
Yeah.
It's part-time champ. Here we come.
Yeah.
And then Austin Theory comes up with the briefcase. Like, oh, man, I forgot about that. There was so many twists and turns. Yeah. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? And then somehow Roman found a way. And then you jump out of your seat so many times during the match thinking this is it.
Yep.
And then at the end, you're kind of disappointed. Not because it was a bad match, because I thought he was going to do it.
Thought he had it.
And it was like, dang, they got me.
Yeah.
They got me again.